Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today's video, I'm going to go over the trades that we took today inside the Discord, as well as the game plan going into tomorrow. But today, man, another textbook day, another really good day for the system, and I'm going to go over what we took. So to start out, if we go to the weekly chart, you guys know this tells us the trend in the market and pretty much tells us what side to focus on. And going into today, I told you guys last night that the market's still bearish because this chart is crossed. So 10 SMA is about the 50, and right off open, you can see what happened. We ended up gapping down and losing this 50 SMA. Obviously, I'm not in a position overnight, but with this gap down on the contracts, we end up gapping up, obviously, on SPY, and we closed below that 50 SMA, which is a key pivot point, and this chart was pretty much going negative, and this chart was telling me that, okay, the bears are losing the trend. I always say this, we're most likely going to get a move in the opposite direction of the premium, which would be the call side. So, we kind of know what direction we want to be playing now. All we have to do is look for an entry. And if you guys watched yesterday's video, I gave you guys this exact setup. So I've been telling you guys this, but the trades you want to be taking and the ones that are really high probability of playing out in your favor and actually, taking a winning trade is when we have this 30-minute chart here and the 0DT chart aligned in the same direction. Which I mean by that, what I mean by that is pretty much, so since this 10 SMA is crossing below the 50, like I said, bears are losing the trend. We're expecting a move higher. We want to be playing a 0DT cross or a trade in the direction to the upside. Since puts are going negative, I'm expecting a move on the opposite side, which is the call side. So we flip to the call side on the 0-day contracts, and this is what we ended up playing today. Very simple concept here. So right off open, these calls were already crossed. So we pulled back to this 50 SMA, which I didn't buy this dip. But honestly, you probably could have gotten away with it. I waited for the reclaim of the 10 SMA, so I actually ended up getting in this trade a little bit early. If I pull up when I entered, I'm going to try and find where we alerted this in the Discord. But I ended up longing at 28, so that was during this candle right here. We ended up pulling back to the 50 SMA. I was down like 20 points, I believe, at one point, which obviously that's not many points. I mean, 20 points, we pull back to the 50. If we ended up breaking below the 50, it probably would have been like a 25, 30 point loss max. So risk really good on that trade from where we entered. The reason I entered early was because, one, we were breaking above the 10 SMA already. Two, 30-minute chart is heavily in our favor. Chart's going negative. I'm expecting this 50 to hold and get a move higher. So, with all those things aligned up, I did get the entry before this chart actually ended up reclaiming the 10 SMA. But either way, there wasn't a big difference in the entries from where I entered versus where we actually closed above the 10 SMA at. You probably could have gotten maybe 5 to 10 points of a worse fill if you did wait for the actual reclaim. But either way, you would have been paid. That's a good thing. If you took the entry when I did, cool, you'd have been paid. If you took the entry here, you'd have been paid. So pretty much, I went over in yesterday's video that you want to be taking a trade that aligns with that 30-minute chart. So today, all you had to look for was this reclaim of the 10 SMA, which happened at 10:30 closure. So that would have been like what, 10:35, or 10:35. But like I said, I got a little bit earlier of an entry just because of what this chart looked like. I mean, it looked really good. We got the calls crossed. We're breaking below that 10 SMA. Stop loss was below the 50. And, once we ended up getting back above that 10 and, getting some upward momentum, I mean, this thing was really good. It looked really good. We caught, I think, 70 points on NQ was like the peak of the trade. So, really good. I trimmed my majority at like 60 points. So, it was a really good trade. Really simple concept. Again, we're aligning that 30-minute chart with the 0DT chart. And, you either look for, obviously, the 0DT call across, which we couldn't play because this was already crossed off of open. So our next opportunity, pull back to the 10 SMA or the 50 SMA, get a closure back above the 10, and that's where you would get your entry point. But honestly, see, this is where it kind of goes a little bit more in depth with the system of where, you honestly could probably buy this 50 dip, but best thing to do is just to wait for the reclaim. And the reason I say this is because since that 30-minute chart is going negative and the bears lost the trend, we're likely to actually hold this 50 and trend higher because we know that 30-minute chart is crossing negative on the put side. So again, it's always best just to wait for the reclaim when we are not in a trending market. Honestly, recently I have not been buying 50 dips. I've been waiting for the closure above the 10 SMA even in a trending market, just because I just feel like those haven't been playing out like how they used to be. So for me, the reclaims are working really well, and I'm going to stick with what's working. So all we did, reclaim of the 10 SMA, candle closure, close above, candle close above the 10 SMA, we go long. It's very simple. It's not hard to understand. You just have to know what you're looking for every day. Like going in every day, I always have a trade that I want to be taking, and that's the most probable. Like I said, this 10 SMA reclaim, a really good trade to take. I was talking about in the Discord before it even happened. I told you guys, 30 minutes going negative. We get a reclaim of the 10, A+ setup. This is an A+ setup. You want to be taking this trade, 10 times out of 10 times you want to be slapping this every time we get it, because we have the extra confluence of the 30-minute chart. And if you really want to be selective in the trades you're taking, honestly, just wait for those 30-minute crosses to happen. So we get a positive cross where we get the trend going. That was yesterday. We kind of really big move, 120 points today. Chart's going negative. We get the reclaim of the 10 SMA on the calls. The puts are going negative. We favor higher, and this is another A+ setup. We've been really taking good trades when it comes to SPY, and this is the action that we love. I mean, September, I feel like it's gonna be a great month. Ever since I switched back to the futures, we're 4 for 4 in the Discord. Haven't lost a trade when it comes to futures in the last week or two. So we've been killing it. If you guys want to learn, obviously Discord's the place to be. But honestly, if you just watch all the YouTube videos, you probably won't need the Discord. If you just want to be a part of the chat and see what I'm looking for throughout the day, and the extra guidance, Discord is the way to go. You can see the trades that I'm taking every day. I call this one out in the Discord. Again, I'm going to be looking for one trade max a day. I'm usually, if we catch a good trade, that's pretty much all I'm taking. I mean, you don't need to be trading a lot. When we get these types of setups, the A+ setups, I'm looking for that A+ setup, and if we don't get it, I'm not going to take a trade, because I want to be giving out high quality trades to you guys. And again, it just, it's for your own good and my own good. I want to be taking good setups. So this was an A+ setup, called it out today, and that was that. So this chart ended up crossing negative again right here. 10 SMA crossing below the 50. It wasn't something I was taking, just because we are neutral. And with that negative cross happening on the 30-minute, yeah, I still did favor higher, but as you can see, nothing ended up really playing out to go higher. But after we get a good move, like I said, there's no need to stick around. Even though this chart did go negative, personally, not taking that. Not a trade I want to be taking in a neutral market. If we flip to the put side now, what do we have here? Actually, yeah, let me just flip to the 0-day puts. There wasn't any really opportunity here. I mean, yes, we did get this cross right here. There was a slight cross. I'm not exactly sure when it actually crossed that, but I mean, that's still 100% of the premium from when we got back above the 10 to 50. So if you wanted to, I mean, you could have taken an entry point. Wouldn't say that I was loving the setups to go short, but we ended up getting a little bit of a move lower, and then we just chopped the rest of the day. See, this type of action right in here is what you could expect when we are neutral and when there's no trend. So, after we get that initial move from the negative cross, which we caught today, there's no need for me to stick around. I am not interested in trading because we know there's no side has direction right now. So, we could wait for that 30-minute chart to cross again, and then we could, be pretty confident in some of the trades we take. So, yeah, the 30-minute chart really guides the way, and you really know what to look for when you're trading SPY when it comes to these charts, because without that 30-minute chart, these 0DT crosses, you don't know which ones are going to be the ones that are going to net really big moves. With the 30-minute chart and the Friday contracts, that tells us when we could expect larger moves, and that's when I want to be trading. I don't want to be trading when I know that this action right here is more likely to happen. So yeah, I mean, that's pretty much what we did today. Going into tomorrow, 30 minutes, obviously, like I just said, we're neutral, because if we pull up the 645 calls, what do we see? The 10 SMA here, or this is actually the wrong contract, it's the monthlies, but if we pull up the 635 puts, 10 SMA cross below the 50, we ended up popping up near that 50 SMA again, which is hefty resistance, since we're not trending. So that 50 SMA is a major pivot in the market, ended up rejecting that 50. And if we flip to the call side, wherever these are, 645 calls, you could see we do have this 50 up in here, which I wouldn't be surprised if we went and hit it tomorrow, just because usually when we cross negative on one side of the premium, we go to the other side's 50 SMA. So if we did get a move up in here, wouldn't be surprised. Will it happen? I don't know. I'm just gonna play it, play what we see, and like I said, tomorrow, neutral market, that means we could take a cross on either side of the premium. So all I'm looking for tomorrow, 0DT call cross, 0DT put cross. I really don't care if we get a trade or not, because obviously we are neutral. I'm going to be sized a little bit less, And if we do get a 30-minute cross going and we get some trend, then I'll be happily to add some more size. But since we're going neutral, since we are neutral, I'm going to be sized a little bit lower. But that's pretty much the game plan for tomorrow. It's simple. When we're neutral, it's a simple game plan always. Look for a cross on either side, and take one trade, call it a day, size a little less because there's no trend, and that's that. So that's the plan for tomorrow. And then when we look at the monthly contracts, which I've been going over on the last couple videos, these are not the right ones. Yeah, right here. So this chart is shaping up to cross negative. Obviously, it is still a little early because you can see the 50 estimate is still trending up super hard. We need this 50 to turn down and this 10 estimate to cross below the 50 for the negative cross to happen. And if we do get this, and if it does actually cross negative, I would expect to move lower just because this negative cross on the monthly chart is a very significant time frame, and significant move will probably happen from this chart crossing negative. It's just a matter of if it does, because this chart will probably cross, this 10 estimate is going to cross below, but that 50 estimate has to curl down for me to consider it a negative cross. So again, it's going to take another day or two, maybe 3, to see if that 50 actually does turn down. And if it does, then I would actually be pretty bearish. And then obviously I won't be super bearish until that 30-minute chart does give us the trend on the put side. And then if that happens, if we recapture the 30-minute trend on puts, I'm expecting a pretty significant move because of this monthly chart. So that's kind of all the things that we tied in, or that I tie into the market and how we read it. So yeah, that's pretty much all I got. If you guys enjoyed, drop a sub. If you guys want to learn, join Discord down below. But yeah, I'm out. Peace.